I think that works perfect. Where's the YouTube link again?
I'm just finding it.
Yeah.
Just grabbing it now.
Nick, let's do it. And we have to celebrate this when I'm back. Like, we gotta celebrate this.
100%.
Like a proper celebration.
All right, we're live.
We're live.
I'm going to put the chat. I'll send it to your Instagram.
Yep.
There you go.
Awesome.
I'll send it to Discord. Hopefully this doesn't break my microphone. Let me know if you stop hearing me at any point.
Yeah. It's a bit trippy since there's like 20-30 seconds delay.
That's all right. Just don't look at it.
Should be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, just have the chat open.
Yeah, so I'll probably just need to just look at the chat. Pop out chat. That's it. And this is gonna automatically record the session, yeah?
Yep, I think so. Let me double check. Otherwise, I can set up recording as well. Yeah. It'll record our live stream.
Awesome.
All right. I've got to send out the link to our Instagram as well.
Yeah.
And then I got to send it out to, actually, let me send it to the emails first.
Someone said hello.
Hello.
Oh, wait. It's not allowing me to type in the chat again. So maybe I'll use another account. Yep.
Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen to anyone else. Or at least someone.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's weird. Oh, true.
Verify and send. Preview. Cool. I think we start maybe 15 minutes past actually, because we had a bit of a delay getting all the everything up and running. But hello to everyone that's joining in. We're just gonna wait about 15 minutes or so before we get started. So feel free to chill out. Ask any questions. Say what you want. We're trialing this Google Meet platform live stream integration thing. So if there's any issues, let us know, and we will consider something else for next time. But so far, it seems pretty good. Who else doing? Oh, Instagram. That's the one. That's pretty important. Whoa. We're live.
We are live.
Yeah, this will be exactly that. So the first one went pretty well. The first one definitely, I think, was quite challenging for anyone that hadn't opened the software before. So we'll try to keep that in mind as much as possible today and maybe go at a much slower pace. But otherwise, it should be all right. It's definitely going to be more of a tutorial today rather than a workshop, with the sort of like, we have a bit of a delay between what you guys are hearing and seeing. Plus, obviously, we can't see your screens or anything. So, yeah, but we'll do everything we can to sort of read and engage with chat. So please be as vocal as possible. Here we go. We're live. Okay.
How are you all feeling today? Oh, and if you're joining us from overseas, please let us know as well. Please say hi.
Yeah. Greetings from USA and Singapore. So cool.
Ooh.
What time is it in your guys' locations?
From Brazil. Wow, this is so cool. Sydney.
Oh, there's someone else from Korea.
Sydney works. Oh, from Korea? Oh my God.
Minnie's joining us from
Hi
Korea as
there.
well right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm in Korea at the moment. We should maybe have a like a meetup in person before I live or something. Oh my God. That's so nice. Thanks for joining us, everyone. It's amazing to see everyone joining from everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah, so cool.
That's so cool.
I'm gonna post it on my story as well.
Yeah. Oh, should I do that too? New Zealand.
Yo,
Yay.
kia ora.
Malaysia. Oh my God, literally we're like, this is like so like international.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Like, so awesome.
This is
I
very
know,
surreal.
it's so cool. Oh my God, it's so cool. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today.
TouchDesigner 20 free online TouchDesigner workshop right now. Come through. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, for anyone that's just joining, we're going to wait another 10 minutes or so just to let people roll in before we get started. I definitely need to get the chat open on the side. Yeah, I'm curious how everyone found out about this workshop today. Was it through YouTube or our Instagram? We're not really sure on what the ratio of local people in Melbourne to the online community is here.
True, that's a good
Presumably
question.
a lot more online. But yeah, hopefully this workshop / tutorial goes well. We'd love to definitely run more of these, and it's really cool to engage with everyone in real time and get some like pressing questions. Oh, I'm gonna add a description to our live stream as well. If you haven't already downloaded TouchDesigner, there's a free software that will be compatible with everything that we do today. So please go ahead and download that. And I'm also just adding in a description now with some links to a project file, which will serve as a good reference for what we're building today, but we'll build everything from scratch. So don't feel like you have to download that. And I'll also put the link in chat now once I find it. Oh, and lots from Instagram. And yes, this will be automatically recorded and uploaded to my channel. So don't feel like you have to stick and stay through the whole thing. It will run for a 1 to 2 hours. So it's definitely a bit more of a commitment. But don't feel like you have to stay here the whole time. But if you want to ask anything live, this is the best opportunity to do so. Whoa, could hear myself.
Oh, oops, sorry. I kept scrolling to the next page. Should we start maybe like around 10?
Yeah,
What do you
we'll go at
think?
10 past in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give people time to download everything and be ready.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Someone that went to our live workshop in Melbourne told them about this. That's so cool. Word of mouth.
That is really cool.
So old school. Forgive me if I'm very tired today. I was up till 6 a.m. Doing TouchDesigner shenanigans in a club. So
Shenanigans.
I'm a little bit in a recovery state. So Minnie's gonna catch up the slack.
Oh, yes, I'm working on it. Hello everyone.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, this will be recorded. It should automatically upload to my YouTube channel. And yeah, we're not much like of YouTube live streaming aficionados, but I think you can also drag back if you miss something. You can slide it back, catch up on live in real time. Hell yeah, someone saw our story and it looked awesome.
Ooh, thank you.
I'm excited.
Excited for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys make. Hopefully everyone will have a bit of a unique looking visual. So that'll be cool, but we'll see.
Yes.
I'm curious what everyone's experience with TouchDesigner is. Is there anyone here that hasn't ever used the software before? Because we'll be hopefully going with that in mind.
Who has never touched TouchDesigner before? Let us
Never
know.
I hope the email link went out. Absolutely no experience. Oh.
Yes, you're at the perfect place, perfect workshop. We'll help you.
Oh wow, there's some
Yes.
stuff I've never used before.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Well, I hope you guys have it downloaded at the very least and opened and ready to go.
That's true. Please do download the software if you haven't yet.
Okay, so all right, we will definitely be going at a very slow pace today. We'll be spending a lot of the
Yes.
start of the tutorial just going over basic stuff as well. So yeah. But we have 60 people in here, which is pretty good. 5% experience, newbie following a tutorial. Cool. All right. Well, I'm ready if you're ready, Minnie.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
let's
think we'll just periodically remind everyone that they can rewind the stream if you miss anything, and this will be available as a recording afterwards.
true.
But
That is
otherwise,
true.
if there's any issues at all, guys, we're going to keep a close eye on chat. Please let us know. Ask any questions at any point. We'll take as long as we need to get through this. And yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do it.
All right, let's get started. First of all, we would really want to express our gratitude for everyone for joining us today. We're Touch Collective, and this is our second workshop. We're doing it online for people with no experience, and we're gonna go over the audio visual. Your first audio reactive visual. So we, Touch Collective, would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands and waterways of Greater Melbourne, the Wurundjeri, Woiwurrung, and Boonwurrung peoples of the Kulin Nation. It always was and always will be the Aboriginal land. And how will this work?
Cool. I can speak to that. So for anyone just tuning in, we're gonna run this a little bit differently to how we would normally run a workshop. Originally, we wanted to have a bit of an intimate environment where people could share their screens and so on and so forth. And we'll definitely do workshops like that in the future, but we wanted to make sure that this was freely accessible to everyone. So we're doing this live stream format, which will like intrinsically just operate more of a tutorial style. But that said, please at any point ask any question. If you're struggling, if you miss anything, we'll be able to provide like stuff in chat. We'll be able to give a detailed explanation. We're happy to go at the slowest pace we can, just to bear in mind that there's so many people here that haven't opened the software before. But otherwise, yeah, we're really excited. So hopefully this goes well. And we also have a feedback form as well as some other links in the description. So feel free to fill that out at any point. And yeah, yeah. You want to say anything?
No, that's perfect.
Cool.
Okay, and we're gonna go over the overview or the contents. So we will have a bit of introduction, and then we will dive into the overview of the TouchDesigner. We will introduce the software a little bit, and then we will go into the workshop. And then we're gonna give you some time to experiment and create your own first audio reactive visual, and then we'll have time to talk about the questions if you have any, and then announcements. And so first, introduction, a bit of introduction. This is the toughest part for me. Anyway, I'm Minnie Park, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again. I do a lot of things, but mainly 3D aesthetics and 3D visuals. I use a lot of my vocal in terms of audio as well. I make my own music as well. Let me play actually one of the videos. Can you hear the sound?
I don't think so.
Yeah. That was the Melbourne Fashion Festival. I did the creative contents for the fashion show using TouchDesigner. Everything was built in TouchDesigner, and that's the interactive audio-visual interactive piece. It's called The Middle Rose. Everything is pink, I know, and that's that's the AR visual sculptures. And also build everything in TouchDesigner as well to make it interactive. I think that's pretty much it. I'm working on this research at the moment at RMIT. Yeah, and I'm thinking of putting on exhibitions as well. So please come along and please say hi. But I'll update everything on my Insta. So please, yeah, keep an eye on that if you're keen. I think that's it for me.
Cool. Yeah,
Yep.
sorry if there's no
Bulk.
sound. Yeah, that's all right. Sounds it's probably not essential for the live stream today, but we can consider that for next time. But yeah, this is me. I'm Nick. Hello. I think some people might be a little bit more familiar with me because we're running this on my weird YouTube channel that sort of I never really
Which is
intended
awesome,
to
Nick. Thank you for that.
be on this platform and doing this sort of thing. I sort of shared some tutorials for my friends on this channel about a year ago, and I guess some strangers on the internet found them, and here I am a year later, still occasionally posting videos, probably not as frequently as I should. But yeah, I'm a Nam. So Nam is a traditional name for Melbourne, Australia, based AV and technical artist. I try to specialize in making everything in real time and doing sort of interactive works with like physicality and audio and all that sort of stuff. I have a background in computer science. Used to be a full stack software developer. And I've used TouchDesigner for a few years. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, my Instagram is where I try to respond and reply to everything. I also have my email there. But yeah, this is together we this TouchCollective platform, which we definitely have a primary focus of developing the new media scene here in Melbourne. But yeah, I don't know. The TouchDesigner shared our page and was now we have a bit of an online community looking at us as well. So we want to keep that in mind as we grow. But yeah, at any point, feel free to send either of us a message, say hello. We have a Discord as well. I'm going to add that to our description. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it about me.
Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so now we are going to dive into the TouchDesigner. If you haven't downloaded yet, please do. And we are going to jump onto TouchDesigner. Now, let me switch the screen.
Yeah, we do have a bit of a delay, unfortunately, but we'll go as slow as we can.
Yep. So TouchDesigner, if you haven't played with it yet, it is a node-based programming language or software, which means you can use these nodes or operators. We will show you in a moment, but you can use this node operators for programming. So it's a visual programming software, if that makes sense. So you're programming actually everything in the software without actually typing in any code language, and that's really cool. And it's really easy. Well, it allows everyone without if they're not coming sorry if they're not coming from the coding background, you can still create the projects using this visual programming language. And it's so versatile that you can create so many different things with it. And these are the examples of what you can do with TouchDesigner. Wait, yeah, that was too fast. And another really strong aspect of TouchDesigner is that you can incorporate other softwares like Ableton or other 3D softwares, Blender, Unreal Engine. You can bring in all those other softwares and DAW, even other programs, and you can build everything in TouchDesigner to make your project really special, unique, authentic to your practice. And that's really what I personally really enjoy as well from TouchDesigner. And here are more examples. I'll play
Yeah,
everything at once.
these are just some I feel like underrated examples of TouchDesigner. I think everyone comes to the software that especially hasn't delved into it before with a certain expectation of what you make. But I wanted to just showcase all of this stuff to be like, you can really create anything in the software. Like it's not specifically audio visuals. That is what we're focusing on today. But it's a really free platform. So the sky is your limit. Be as creative as possible and yeah, keep pushing this community forward. It's really awesome. Oh, you.
Yes. Okay. We are going to dive into TouchDesigner now. Let me switch the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep, all good. Yeah, again,
Yes.
at any point in anyone chat, please sing out if we're going too fast or if you miss anything. I'm ready to answer any question.
Yes. So once you open the software, did someone say something? Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
We're good.
So this is TouchDesigner. What is important to, I guess, mention for me is, so at the bottom, you will see this timeline. You can just press play and pause using space bar. You can see it's playing and, and stopping. Can you see it? Yes. And this is the parameter window where you can adjust all the parameters of the operators. First thing first, sorry. So the operators are the nodes, which is the main aspect, main part of the TouchDesigner software. If you press tab, oh, I might have to share my entire screen because I don't think it's showing my.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
might need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Wait. Yes. Do you see
Perfect.
everything now?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so once you press tab, you'll have this pop-up window. And then, so these are the these are the different types. These are different types of the operators. Let's see if I just click something. Let's go with noise. And if you type in the letter alphabet, let's say if I want a noise operator, you will have this operator created like this. So this is the node or the operator, and there are different types of operators. So there's tops, chops, sops, met, that, custom, and comp. But mainly top, chop, soap. These are the main. Well, yes, we do use a lot of all of the operators, but for today, we are gonna look into top chop mainly. So here, top, you see these different colors for different operators. Top operators are for texture operators. So anything, uh, so it'll display the pixels on the screen. So anything related to pixels like visuals, images, and videos, this will deal with the top. And chops are the math operators. So numbers, you see these audios, math, you will use these chop operators. So for the top, if you can follow along from now, maybe it'll be great actually. Yeah. So we're gonna start building some parts using some operators, and I'll try to explain as much as in detail as well as we go over. But if you can do follow along from now on, please do. And I can't really see any
I got you. If anyone
the
types anything.
chat. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm responding to some
Yeah.
messages now.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. So we're gonna start again. Press tab. If you can press that. And then under the top operator, sorry, press N for noise. And then you'll see this noise operator. Oh, yes. So this is the operator. So these are like Lego blocks. If you can think of building like a Lego project, each of these operators act like a Lego block. So it has different functions, it has different shapes, but if you combine it, you can build your own Lego project. So noise, you will see this parameter window. This is where you can tweak the value of these parameters to create, to cater to your design, your project, to create the pixels on the display. And while you're clicking, while this operator is being clicked, active, you'll see this green frame outside. You can press D to display this operator on your background, like that. And you can press D once again to deactivate, like that. Yeah? Okay. And you'll see this part where you can connect other operators to to each other. But for now, let's look at the noise parameter. So noise is basically, we're using noise to start building our project for today. And we will tweak some parameters. So please follow along. We actually recommend sticking to this exact value for this time, but you can tweak these values as you wish when we give you the time to experiment with it. Okay, for the seed, well, seed is just for like the randomness. So it's a random seed, randomness number. So it doesn't really matter. You can just pick, I guess, whichever you want. But for the period, we will go with 3. Oh, sorry, that was 4. 3. Harmonics, 10. Let me know if I'm if I'm doing too fast. Harmonic speed, 0.9. Harmonic gain, 0.65. Am I going too fast?
I think you're okay. I'll provide the numbers in chat as well.
Yes, thank you. Exponent, 0.37. Amplitude, 0.5. Offset, 0.5 as well.
Oh, I can't type it all at once. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Harmonics 10.
Yes. Okay. I'll give you some time to copy the values.
Yeah, so for these values, it's not essential that you have the exact same numbers as us. As long as your noise looks vaguely similar, that's entirely all we need. So if you can see in the little operator, so the square box, the window we have, as long as it has like a similar shape going on, that's pretty much perfect.
Okay, can we move on?
I reckon.
Is everyone okay with this? Okay, all right. And let's press tab once again. And now we will use the chop operator. It's another type dealing with math and numbers. And we will type in A for audio. And we'll put audio device, audio file in. Okay, once again, tap and audio file in. This one. And if you press play, you will see this graph. What it's actually doing is now playing the audio file, the default file that TouchDesigner has. So once you have this operator, you can look into this parameter window and you'll see this file path. So this is the path of the file of the audio that it's playing at the moment. But if you wish to change to your own audio, you can always click this plus button here and choose your own audio as well. But for now, we are just going to stick to the default. And with the operators, you see these little icons on the left, top left. The first one is you can toggle the view mode, display active or non-active. If you are working with some heavy project and you don't want computer to process all that heavy information, you can just turn the display off. You see with noise as well. And that's gonna save some computers. Well, it's gonna make it efficient for your computer. And then the other one is, I guess this is about the immunity, but we don't have to worry about that too much at the moment. And this is to bypass this operator. So you can just, once again, click and click to toggle on and off. And this is to lock these node or the operators. And you can click again and unlock it. Yeah? Okay. So with this audio file, it's playing, but you probably are not hearing anything. That is because this is just to get the audio file in, but we have to connect it to another operator to make it so that we can hear what it's playing as well. So what we're going to do is, this is how we're connecting the operator to another operator. So you see this, if you put your mouse over this this part, you'll see this green, it becomes active. And so once you have this part active, you can drag out and you'll see the string attached to your mouse like that. Yeah. Okay. And while you are dragging out, while you're still your mouse is on mouse down, you can press tab again, and then we will connect it to audio device out. Once again, you can just type in the audio device out, and it will just highlight that operator for you. Okay. And if you click that, it's automatically gonna connect it to you. And then we can press bypass for now, which means it's so with this button, you can hear the audio, but if you don't want to hear it, you can just bypass this part. Yeah. Please let us know if you have any questions on that. Okay. And we are going to connect this audio file now to another operator. So what we're actually doing is basically we're building a foundation for our workshop today. We are going to use this noise for the visual, and then we're building this part to make this visual that we are creating audio reactive, if that makes sense. So we are going to work, we are working on this audio reactive part at the moment. Yeah, so once you have this, we're gonna drag another string from this audio file in, and then press tab. And then we are going to connect it to math. So math operator, once again, this chop operator is dealing with numbers, mathematical values. And you're using this mathematical values. You can use these values in wherever you want. But what we're doing with this math is actually we're multiplying the value from multiplying the values that we're getting from this audio file in, if that makes sense. So you'll see this graph, meaning we are getting this mathematical values, right? And we are using multiply to, or math to multiply this value. And we're going to type in 2.7 for now. So what it's actually doing, once again, is multiplying the value that we're getting from the source. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna look into this palette on your this side, left side. So you will see this palette. Palette is it's like a collection or like a library with pre-built operators that is really handy and useful for us to use. And So if you go under tools, and another thing is you will have this my component folder. These are just the pre-built, just given default pre-built operators, but you can create your own, and you can put your own as well under the my component, and you can create a folder, right click, add folder, and you can click yours and add your own component or anything that you built and you want to use that in other projects as well. You can save that, and it will appear in every TouchDesigner window once you open it. Okay, but today we are going to use, so if you go to tools, and we will use this audio analysis operator. So you can just, I'll show you again, you can just drag it out to the window to get the operator. So what this is doing is literally analyzing the audio, but we have to connect this to the audio source. So we can just connect it like this. And now you'll see this value is coming through. Yeah, audio analysis, and you connect to the math. I'll actually close that. And another button that we use a lot with operators is this star button at the bottom right. What it's doing is if you press it, you can make it active and non-active. Meaning, so if you press this, you can now control the values in here. Without it, you can't really control, specifically with this operator. So you have to toggle on this star button to make it active. And then we're gonna use so low, mid, and high frequencies of this audio file. So once again, what we're doing here is we're trying to extract, we're trying to get numerical values, mathematical values that we can use to connect it to a visual to make it audio reactive. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, and then we're gonna, yeah, we're gonna toggle on the kick button here as well. So you'll see this now, all the values are coming through. And then we're also gonna toggle on the fast density. And let's max out the low gain as well here. Yeah, so once you have that, press the start button again so we can connect these to other operators. And you see sometimes they have more than one connecting point, and sometimes where you connect to the other operators or these among these two is really important as well. It says output 0, the process levels, and this is for another output for audio signal. So if we want to process, or if we want the values that is processed through this, we want to make sure that we connect everything to here. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna drag a string again and press tab. And we are going to connect it to speed here. Speed. And I guess one thing that is maybe worth mentioning is that you will have all these different operators. There are so many, and they're updating all the time as well. And you don't have to memorize or remember what they're all doing. You'll get used to the operators and nodes as you go through it. But yeah, and there's also, if you hover your mouse over it, you can see a little description down there. And there's also, if you look at the top left of the TouchDesigner, there's Wikipedia, forum, and tutorials link. Once you click it, it'll link to the official website for all the useful tutorials and information, so you can do that as well. Yeah. And yes, so now it's connected to speed. What speed operator is doing now at the moment is, so speed is the velocity of, well, the value, but it's actually accumulating the mathematical value, and that's what we want for here. So you see the number is ever increasing, right? And that's what we want for today. So, and also you'll notice there's different values, different mathematical values here that we can use. And if you press the start button, what it's actually doing is we can now select a specific value from this window. We can select this kick value or high, mid, low value, right? As you can see. And we're going to connect this value to noise now. So this part can be a bit tricky, but we'll repeat it if you if you're feeling lost. Okay, so don't worry, we gotcha. Okay, so noise, if you click, so how we're connecting the value to other operators, we're going to show that to you now. So if you click noise again, so we want to add some movement here without us triggering all the time. We're pressing button. It's automatically gonna create animation or like a movement. And how are we gonna do that? We're gonna do that with this transform value. So transform value, we have rotate value, scale value, and translate value. And we are going to use this value to create this sort of movement. Yeah. But then we don't want this movement to be random. We want to make it audio reactive, right? We're building your first audio reactive visual. So how we're going to do that is, so we're going to go back to speed. Actually, maybe. Oh yeah, and you can drag to reposition your operators anytime, anywhere. So with your noise, speed with the toggle on, drag the low value to the transform value here, like that, and make it a chop reference. I feel like I need to repeat that again. Okay, so drag the low value. You will see this triangle icon appear. It's highlighted, right? Drag that value to translate, and then make it a chop reference. Chop operator, right? This chop operator. So we're making this translate value reactive or connected to the low value that we have here. And now look, our noise is moving, yay! And it's audio reactive as well. And if you want to check if it's really audio reactive, you can toggle this button again and see if it's, audio reactive, because it is.
Yay.
Yay!
Tutorial done. No.
Yeah, tutorial done. Yeah. So basically, right? So now what we did is we made this noise visual audio reactive by just connecting that value to transform value. And what is really important, or what is really awesome actually, is that you don't have to only it's not only limited to this parameter. I can just quickly show you how crazy it can get. So let's say you want to, I don't know, use kick value to rotate and make it a chop reference. It's gonna do it again. Do the high value to scale chop reference. Right? You see, it's like, it's so versatile, and you can connect to everything. Make sure it's not too heavy though, but this should be really fine. But yes, so the idea is that you can just think about what you want to use, like what kind of mathematical or numerical value that you want to use from which audio, which part, right? And then also think about where in your visual that you want to apply that value, which parameters. There's all other parameters that you can literally connect to as well, right? So this is why TouchDesigner can be really, it is really versatile, and you can create so many different projects, even with just the same audio and same visual, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, so tutorial done, Nick.
Yeah, so
Alright.
now
Yeah.
we're actually going to switch over to me. Originally in the tutorial section, I ran through all of this, but we did what Minnie just did at the end, and we feel like we brought that forward to the start instead because it's like a immediate kinetic understanding of what's going on. So if you want to stop sharing your screen, yeah, nice.
Yes.
And I guess I will share my entire screen as well. I hope the aspect ratio is okay. I have a bit of a wider monitor.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
perfect.
perfect time. Ask me any questions. I'm reading chat right now. I've been addressing some questions in chat, Minnie, as well. If you want to take over doing
Yes,
any of
I
those.
will.
But how does it look? Is my screen look okay?
Yes, looks perfect.
Cool, beautiful. Some quick questions that people had. That is really, really
Yes.
good. Firstly, you can see we have our noise operator here, so this box. When we look at the inputs and the outputs, we talk about the inputs on the left side and the outputs on the right side, these holes. Sometimes there's multiple holes, sometimes there's just one or no holes. Sounding a little bit weird, but whatever. If at any point you hover over, and this goes for any of the buttons and anything in TouchDesigner, you can see that they all do different things. For example, this audio analysis one, the outputs, we have the processed levels for the first one. I know Minnie covered this, but I'm just briefly going over again. We have the processed levels, and then the second one is the audio signal. So if we actually connected something to the second one, we're getting something different from the first one. And in this case, it's the audio signal passing through the audio analysis. And I think one other really useful thing just to cover, so this is really, really useful for beginners, guys. On a lot of nodes, like the noise we have here, if you right click it and then click operator snippets, you'll actually see, it's going to freeze for a second, but there is a bunch of examples for all the different types of operators in TouchDesigner. It's not for every single one, but you can see here we have noise, and it gives you a cool little example with like different things connected in, and then like movie files connected, and being like, look, we can create TV static by doing this. And it shows you a cool little way to sort of like use and render. And in fact, I can go to like the Edge tab here and be like, oh, that's really cool. So I'm selecting everything now and then copying it into my project file like that. So you can just copy and paste it across. So this is the operator snippets window when you right click a node. Do I mind zooming in a bit? Yeah. So how small is it on, let me check on YouTube real quick. Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
it would
wide. I
be
have
good if
such
you
a
can.
wide screen.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
is there any way?
Maybe tweak the ratio of the display of your computer. Maybe.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, I know.
What if instead maybe I
Mm,
just zoom in really closely.
yeah.
Yeah, I wish I did not have an ultra wide for this tutorial now. If I just share my TouchDesigner window, we won't be able to see the pop-ups,
Yeah.
which is pretty important. So I'm going to do my best to push forward. I'll just zoom in on the nodes as much as possible.
Yeah.
And if anything is missed, let me know. I'm just pulling up chat again. There we go. I can change the resolution of the stream, actual program instead of full screen. Yeah, if I these are good suggestions. Unfortunately, with capturing the whole screen, if I just do the program, it won't capture any of the pop-up windows. And if I maybe present something else, window, TouchDesigner, share. Maybe we try this. Maybe we do try it this way. All right, I'm going to try it like this, everyone. And if you guys are missing any of the tab operators, so whenever I press tab and grab an operator, or if you see an operator appear out of nowhere, know that I'm pressing tab. We'll try to address this limitation next time. And yeah, sing out if you miss anything and I'll come back. And if this doesn't work, I'll just swap back to full screen. But yeah, so we're going to push on. What we're going to do is this is going to sort of work like a tutorial now. Hopefully I won't go too fast, everyone, but again, try to just follow along, copy. We'll take breaks and pause as we go. But essentially, I'm just going to build a network, and it's not super important you understand every little step of it, but we'll do our best to explain as we go. And yeah, Minnie is ready on the chat. So we're going to go to our noise operator here, so our purple one, and we're going to connect out some post FX. So we can right-click this output. And again, you won't see my pop-up, but I have a pop-up here, and I'm going to grab an edge. So an edge like this. You can see this one here. What I want to do with this edge is in the parameters window in the top right, I'm going to make the strength 10. So just type in 10 there. You can also drag the sliders around. And I'm also going to make the sample strength 30 for both of the values. And this is going to give us very, very big, bold strokes, as you can see, like so. What we're doing here is we're sort of creating a brush stroke. So we need to combine this with another noise. So what I'm going to do is select this noise. So I can just click it here and then copy. So Control C and Control V, copy and paste it. So we have two of them going on like so. What's important now is that we change this noise to look a little bit different so we can combine the two and get like a bit of a unique texture. So I'm going to change the values. So the period here is going to be 2. The period essentially is how zoomed into it is. So how like the period size, if that makes sense. So if I make this really small, you can see we get very grainy texture. And as I make it larger, it zooms in. So we're going to keep that at 2 harmonics. We're also going to bring that down a little bit lower. Harmonic spread around 2 as well. So we're going for like a bit of a grainy texture. So it should look a little bit like this at the moment. And let's bring our exponent up back to 1 to make it a little bit softer. And yeah, we can leave the rest as is for now. Now, one important step we want to do here is we want to make sure we set a universal resolution. So the size of our visual. You can see when we click on the common tab of any operator, especially the tops, we have a output resolution, and the default is 256 by 256 pixels. So like really, really low res quality, which is not great. So what we want to do is get a constant chop. So that's our green one. So I'm just pressing tab right now and going to our constant and grabbing a constant chop, so our green one. I'm going to go to the parameters in the top right and name this res or resolution. Any name works. And I'm going to set the value to 1000. So we're going to do a resolution of 1000 pixels. by 1000 pixels. We're going to make it just a square one today to keep it simple. And again, now we're doing the more complicated step. So pay attention to this one. It's the same as what Mini did, where on our noise operators, we're going to go to our common tab so we can see our resolution. Then on the constant, click the viewer active to make this selectable. So you can see we hover over and it becomes green. And now we can drag the resolution, so the 1000 onto the word resolution, and then go chop reference. And we want to do that for both of our noise operators. So go to the common tab, drag constant onto resolution, and chop reference like so. And you'll know it's working when you see the resolution is now a blue 1000. And what's really good about this now is that we can actually go back to this constant and we can change this number to any number we would like 500, and we'll immediately halve the resolution of the whole image. I'm going to keep it at 1000 for today. Is there something similar to operator snippets or hovering operator tabs that tell you what each parameter does? Not exactly. I think the best way to do that is by doing parameter help here. But the best way to understand all the parameters of a node is the wiki, which might sound painful. I promise it's just a really, really good resource. The wiki has a page for every operator, and it details, breaks down what each little node does. So you can just go to the wiki up here or just Google it as well. Cool. All right, so we have our two noise operators now. So from our second noise, we want to connect in a limit. So I'm right-clicking and then grabbing a limit. So again, you can get this by pressing tab and then connecting the two lines like so. Now we're going to go to our quantize tab on the limit, and on the quantize position, the second one down. So not quantize value, but quantize position. Let's set this to ceiling and then make the value something a little bit bigger. Around 0.2, sorry, around 1.9. What we want to do is just get these little bold squares going on. Again, the specific numbers is not important, everyone. You should just have the similar looking screens or windows like this. I have red X's on my res. If you hover over any red X, you should see what the issue is. Potentially you dragged on like this, but if you if you see a red X at any point, just hover over it, and then you should be able to tell us what the issue is. But yeah, drag it onto the word resolution and chop reference for the previous step. All right, just checking. Remember to toggle little star. Yes, thank you, Yutian. Cool. I'm going to push forward. If I'm going too far ahead at any point, everyone feel free to either scroll back or just sing out, because if you're struggling with anything, I guarantee there are others also having the same issues. Beautiful. Okay, so we have our two different noise shapes now. So we want to combine these into one texture. The way we do that is with a composite top. So I've just pressed tabbed and got a composite. So you can type in the word comp and you'll see it on the left-hand side. So this composite top here has a big wide open hole. And that means we can plug in basically infinite operators into it. So in this case, we're just going to plug in 2, but there's no reason why we couldn't plug in 10 or 15 or whatever number you want. Oh, okay, no, Rebecca is all good. Yeah, thank you, Minnie, for jumping on those. So we have our comp here. Let's go ahead and drag both the edge and the limit in like so. And you'll see that it combines the two images here. When we click on our comp and we look at our parameters on the top right, you'll see we have this operation button. Now, if you're familiar with Photoshop or any other sort of photo editing softwares, a lot of these words will make sense to you. If you're not, don't worry. It's not super important. Essentially, these are just different ways or different formulas of combining images together. But for today, we want to leave ours on multiply. But that being said, there's no reason why, if you want at the very end, come back and change these around and experiment with different combinations like this. You're more than welcome to, but for today, let's just leave the operation on multiply. Cool. So essentially what we have here is we have the brush stroke for our visual, but we want to sort of limit this so it doesn't take up the whole screen. We only want it to do a little circle in the middle. And the way we do that is by grabbing a circle top. So we can go ahead and press tab again and type in the word circle, and you'll get a little circle like so. Now, once again, we're going to do the same thing with our resolution, everyone. So we have our resolution here. Make sure to click the little star in the bottom right. You'll know it's grabbable when you hover over and it goes green. And then we click our circle, we go to our common tab, and we have our resolution. And we want to drag the green resolution, so onto the word resolution, and drop it and click chop reference. And again, you'll see the resolution is updated here with the blue 1000s. Yeah, the operator is the circle. I'm not sure if you guys can read the names of the operators here, but you can see the names here. And so if you miss anything at any point, feel free to just get the name and then drag and drop that into your project. But we don't really want to do anything with the circle too intense. All I'm going to do is increase the softness. So back on the main tab here, let's drag the softness up a little bit just to make it a little bit nicer. But that's pretty much it. The one before that got stuck with the resolutions. Oh, the limit operator or the comp. But either way, I'm going to press forward. So we have the circle operator now, and we want to combine this with our shape. So we're going to do the exact same as what we did and get another composite. So I've just pressed tab and clicked and grabbed another composite. And same thing, let's leave it on multiply. And just drag the comp 1 into comp 2 like so. And then drag circle 1 into comp 2 like so. And connect these little lines. And you should have a little image like so. And this is the foundation of our visual here. So I'm just going to take a quick break and go through anything in chat we might have missed. Is there anything important, Minnie, that people are stuck on? Just going to leave my
how is everyone doing? How is everyone doing with this so far? Is it too fast? Or is it just right?
So mine says, comment in chat, mine says use input resolution and the inputs are grayed out. Right, so you don't, does that mean it's taking the 1000? So if I click on, say, the limit here, and we go comment, you can see the output resolution is set to use the input and is grayed out. In that case, it's carrying forward the resolution from the previous one. We only need to set the resolution for the starting nodes. So any nodes that doesn't have input. So the noise, no inputs, no inputs, no inputs for the circle. We only need to set the resolution on those ones. So I only have 3 lines. You can see the gray dotted lines coming from resolution. So you should only connect it to 3 things. But other than that, I think everyone is pushing forward okay. If your network So far, it looks about 90% similar or 60% similar. Perfect, good enough. Again, everyone's going to have a bit of a different visual towards the end because you're going to like have slightly different values that you'll input, which is perfect. We want everyone to have a bit of a unique looking one that you sculpt and craft yourself. But yeah, I think we're good to push forward. Minnie, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good. Perfect.
Awesome. So now we get to the feedback part of the tutorial.
Yes, the juicy part.
All right. So if anyone has seen the finished visual, essentially what we have is a brush stroke that goes across a page and then fades off very slowly. When I select this operator and press D, that just makes it my background. So I'm going to explain a little bit about what we're seeing right now. So this is essentially our brush. If you imagine like we're drawing across the page like so, that's what's happening right now and how the foundation of the visual is being created. We've combined like these smooth lines to create like a nice wavy shape. And then these square boxes of intensity will create the points where the brush stroke is more intense later on in the visual. So what we need to do now is we need to make it have a bit of a trail effect. So that way when this moves across the screen, it has a bit of a trail following it before it fades out to nothing, which is why we use a feedback loop. So this is definitely one of the more complicated topics for this tutorial. So feel free to ask any questions you might have. But it's also not super important you understand everything that's going on. What we're going to do is create a closed loop that says, hey, this brush stroke that is happening, repeats that pattern. So keep that on the screen, but fade out slightly, like every few seconds. So you can see if I pause just by pressing space, we have this one image here. Basically, we're going to create a loop being like, hey, each frame repeats that image and keep it layered there, which will create this trail. And then we just create a fade out, so that way it fades out over time. That's essentially what a feedback loop is. So the way we start that, just hiding my background again by pressing D, is we right click from the comp to and get a feedback top. So this is going to designate the start of our feedback. From here, we want to create a bit of texture on the brush as well as capture the trail. And you can see here already the feedback is just frozen because we haven't designated the endpoint. So we're going to create some texture. Not super important you understand what is happening here, but just follow along. So we want to grab a slope top, like so. So we have a slope top. Connect the feedback into the slope. A slope is just creating a slight gradient of intensity, if that makes sense. From the slope, on the slope parameters, so the top right, we want to make it really strong once again. So make the strength 9. If you miss any of these values at any point, feel free to ask Minnie in chat. So strength 9 for the slope, and the sample step, let's make it 6 for both. And again, you should just get something similar looking to me, like so. From the slope, let's connect in a blur. So we can grab a blur like so. Again, press tab or right click the outputs at any point to get that operator window, the operator tab window, sorry. And then we have our blur. On our blur, we can actually just leave everything as it is. We're just creating a little bit of texture right now. So now we want to do a displace. Now, displace is by far my favorite operator in TouchDesigner. I'm not going to do anything complicated with it today, nor is it important that you understand what we're doing. But in layman's terms, we're just going to displace the input image against a texture that we're feeding in. So we can connect the feedback. So again, we're going from the feedback 1 to the first input of the displace. Now, at this point, it's important to emphasize the way you lay out your network. If you just create everything in a straight line, it might get a little bit messy. So I highly recommend sort of replicating a vague, similar look to how my network is. So you can select these operators and move them around at any point. And you can see I put these two below the feedback like so, because I know it's going to connect into the bottom input of the displace. No, we're leaving the blur as is. The blur is untouched in the values. But from the blur, we connect that into the second point of the displace, like so. Now on the displace, this is a really, really intense effect, and we just want a subtle texture. So I'm going to make the displace weight a really small value. Instead of 1, I'm going to do 0.01. So displace weight 0.01 for both of the values. Oh, sorry, 2 ones there. And I'm just going to make sure everyone is okay with that. I think everyone is doing good so far. So again, your displace operator should look something like this in the background. Again, slightly different. Maybe the lines are in a different place or the texture is slightly more intense. As long as it's vaguely similar, we're on the right track. Awesome. So we just created a little bit of texture here. So if I compare the displace and the feedback, the displace is on the left. You can see there's a little bit of wobble going on here versus the more smooth lines here. So that's our first little bit of texturing we're doing. Now we're going to do a bit more of an intense texturing. And we're going to get, once again, a noise top. So our favorite, let's press tab and grab a noise top. And we have a beautiful looking noise top here. What we really want to do is make this look like, if you think about like a brush that you might paint with, if you looked at it top down, what would that texture look like? That's basically what we want to create right now. So you're welcome to freeform this if you'd like, but I'm going to drag the period up a little bit, like so. Also going to bring the harmonics up. So let me zoom right in, or make this my background so you can see what I'm changing. So you can see when I bring the harmonics up to about 7, we have a much more grainy texture, which is more reminiscent of, in my mind, what a brush would look like. Let's bring the harmonic spread up as well. That just gives us even more of a bit of a grain. I'm just sort of sliding this around until I like it. It's looking really brush-like at the moment. And the most important step this time is that we make it monochrome. It's set to on. Let's make it off, and you'll get this really, really colorful looking noise like so. Yeah, how do you compare displays? Yeah, so you can make all of these nodes your background by just pressing D. And if you want to be really weird, I don't recommend doing this, but you can do like Control A, select everything, and press D, and it makes everything your background. So when you want to compare operators, it's easy to just select them both and press D, or click the blue icon in the bottom right. So we have our noise here. The last really important step, everyone, once again, there's no inputs, so let's set our resolution. So let's go to our common tab on our noise once again and do what we did before. Let's go back to our resolution. Make sure it's selectable, so when we hover over its screen, you can do that by clicking the little star in the bottom right. And then make sure your noise is selected in the parameters up the right, top right, and drag the resolution onto the word resolution and click chop reference, just like we did with all the other noises. I hope everyone is okay with that. And you can see immediately our background is a bit more high resolution now. And we have a nice looking little brush stroke. So now we just need to do the same thing we did with the first texture, which is connect in a displace. So grab another displace, like so. And let's drag displace 1 into the first input of our displace 2. So we want that to be our source image. And then let's drag our noise 3 into the second input of displace 2. And you can see it has displaced it really, really heavily here, which is not great. So we want to make this weight, the displace weight, so on our parameters here, really small again. And in this case, I'm going to do a really small value of 0.004 for both of the axes. And now if we compare the two, so I'm just selecting both of these and clicking the blue button, you can see we have a really nice grainy texture added to our brushstroke. Yeah, cool. So we really are just adding a bit of texture now, and that's pretty much it for our brushstroke. We've pretty much done all the texturing that we need to do today. All we have left to do is to close off the loop, everyone, and add some color. Like you're pretty much there. Like it's going to be amazing how cool this is going to look once we connect it all up. Yes, I thought you were raising your hand for a question.
Oh, no.
No.
I was celebrating.
Cool. Yeah, feel free again, anyone, to ask any question as to like why we think it's really important that you sort of get a good grasp on like how this visual is coming together, like fundamentally, not just with what an operator does what, but just in terms of a like broad concept. Cool. All right, so now we just need to finish off our feedback loop. So I'm gonna do this a little bit of a tricky way, but I'll make sure to come back in case anyone misses anything. I'm gonna I want to access the node right before the feedback. So this comp, I'm gonna drag it down a little bit just to make it a clean straight line. And you can just see the way I have my network structured is a little bit like this if you want to shuffle things around. So now I'm going to grab a brand new composite operator. So this is the purple comp like we've gotten, and we get a fresh one from pressing tab. We want to make sure this time the operation is actually set to over. So we click the operation and set it to over. Nothing plugged in just yet. Now, multiply, if you don't know what multiply does, it's not important, but over is pretty simple. It just stacks one image over top of the other image. So we're going to have the feedback be stacked over the brushstroke. So that way we have this trailing loop that is trailing behind the brushstroke as it comes in. And the way we do that is we connect our feedback. So the end of our feedback, which is this displace 2, into comp. So drag displace 2 into comp 3 like so. If your numbers are different, don't worry, it's not super important. But then we want to go back to our comp 2. So that's this one here, right before the feedback. You can see straight line. We want to now go from comp 2 out to our comp 3. So again, we have this little feedback area here set off to the side, and we have the very end of it, which is our displace 2 going into this comp, and then we have our original comp also going into our comp 3, like so. Let me know if you guys miss any of that. Now, I'm going to make this my background so we can see what happens here. So now we need to do the final bit of our feedback loop, which is saying to the start of our feedback, hey, this is where I want the loop to end. Can you please end it like so? It's good practice in TouchDesigner to connect from our comp a null. So I just have a null operator here. A null does nothing. It's simply just a little point, a reference point, and you can use it to do whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to change the name to feedback end or FB end. The only reason I'm doing this is just to make the network easier for you to understand what is happening. So we know that the feedback is ending here. Now, the tricky part. When we click on our feedback one, so this operator back at the start of our feedback loop, you can see we have a target top box in the parameters window. We need to drag the feedback end into that box, or just drag it straight onto the feedback like so. So again, I'm dragging the feedback and I'm dropping it onto the feedback one, and I'm going to make this my background so you see what happens. Boom. I hope that happened for everyone. So again, I'm going to Control Z and reset my feedback. So we're dragging the feedback ends that we created, so our null, maybe you have it named null still. We're dragging that onto our first initial feedback and dropping it. And you should have your screen just fill up like that. If anyone's not got that happening, let us know in chat and we'll cover it. So this is what we were talking about earlier, where we've created this loop that's just infinitely stacking that pattern that's gone across. And now, look, our whole screen is filled up because it's just repeatedly layered over it and filled it all up, which is not great because we don't want a still image. We want our image to slowly fade out over time. So this is why I did it in this order, so we can also learn a new technique, which is at the very end of our feedback, we need to be like, hey, can you trail off slightly? Can you slightly turn off the opacity? So between our displace to and our comp, we're going to right click. So this line here, you can see it. We hover over it, goes yellow. Let's right click and go insert operator and then get a level. I hope my accent makes it okay. Level. So it should look like this, everyone on your screen. We have a displace going to a level to a comp. So inserting operators, it just inserts one between the two. Something we hadn't covered yet, so hopefully that doesn't trip anyone up. Let me know if it does. But now we can use our level to be like, hey, can you slightly fade out over time? And the way we do that is by being like, hey, inside of this feedback loop, can you make the opacity like not 100%, like make it slightly transparent, so that way when it's infinitely repeating, the transparency just gradually decreases. So we go on our level and let's go to our post tab in the operator section, and we have our opacity here and it's at 100%, so it's at 1. Let's just make it 0.99, slightly below 0. And you should now sort of see your audio reactive visual doing a little painting, going crazy across the screen. Just going to take a moment to make sure everyone in chat is doing okay. Please sing out if you are missing anything, but I think so far everyone's doing all right. Any questions? How are you doing, Minnie? Oh, Minnie has gotten up, so maybe something is happening.
Sorry, I had to get the door. Sorry.
You're right. I think everyone's doing okay. I got some heart reacts in chat.
How is everyone doing? Do you have your feedback system working?
How is everyone's visual looking so far? Is it somewhat similar to this? Any like katepai? Anything going on that's not working? We're gonna add in some color next, which is I feel like that's everyone's favorite part, right?
Of course, making it yours.
But this is legitimately like the whole thing, everyone. I hope it's not too hard to understand. But we're gonna add in color next, and then we'll be pretty much done. But yeah, as long as it's similar, that's perfect. When we take a step back and look at our network, you can sort of break it up into different parts. So you can see here at the start, we've created the foundations of our brush stroke, which is like the brush going across the page and the intensity of the different points. So if you want to change the way your brush looks, feel free to go back to these noise at the very start and change some of the parameters. As for the feedback loop, someone in chat just asked me to explain it once again. So I'm going to quickly go over that once more, and then we'll do the color. So you can see here we have our feedback end, which is pointing with this gray dotted line to our feedback start. So basically that means everything that happens between this and this is being repeated infinitely, like every frame that happens. So everything between these two operations is being repeated each frame. And in this case, we have before the feedback, this movement that goes across like so. And we're basically saying, hey, each little frame of movement, so I'm like pausing and unpausing, can you leave that in place? So this image that you see right now, and then if I unpause, and this image, it's combining and just stacking those infinitely as it moves and changes. So it's creating that loop. In between the two, we have this level, which is being like, hey, can you make it slightly less, like, can you slowly over time remove that? So it's repeating each frame, but over time it's slowly fading out, so that way it doesn't just fill up the whole screen very quickly. If I actually make this feedback in my background, press play, on the level now, if I make the opacity really small, so if I bring the opacity right down, each frame only lasts like a brief moment, and so it doesn't have much of a trail. But as I increase the opacity slightly, it fades out slower and slower over time. And it's stacking over each other. So these big brush strokes get obscured by the smaller brush strokes that's being layered over the top of it. So the more and more I bring this opacity up, the more it is layering everything over. And when we have it at 99, it completely gets rid of the big, bold brushstrokes as the texture we created is layered lots of times over the top. I hope that makes sense. If feedback is something you're still struggling with in TouchDesigner, honestly, there's some really good tutorials out there, not by me. So feel free to type in feedback TouchDesigner, and there's some really good explanations. But yeah, I think it's time to add, we're ready to add some color. Minnie, what do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, everyone. So let's go ahead and press tab once again and grab a ramp. So R-A-M-P. We have a ramp here. Now, a ramp is a really, really useful tool in TouchDesigner. You can use it for so many different things, surprisingly. But for today, we're just going to generate a unique looking color palette. And the way we're going to do that is you can see when we have our ramp selected, we have a black to white fade up the top. When we look at our original image, you can see that it essentially has really, because it's in monochrome, really dark values all the way to really bright white values. So this ramp here is going to map colors along that. So the darkest points being here, the brightest points being here. It's going to map that to our image. Now, the way we do that is we connect in a lookup. So let's go ahead and press tab and grab lookup like so. And we want to connect our feedback end, so this null, into the first one, and then our ramp into the second one. And now let's press D. Cool. looks pretty much the same, except we have a black background now because the gradient is set to black and not transparent. Now, what happens if I go ahead and click this little white box at the very top white? You can see the saturation is set all the way down like so. But if I drag the saturation slowly up towards the red, you can sort of see that it makes all of the white parts of our image now red. So it's now a red to black gradient. We can also actually click at any point along here to add in a new box. So if I click right after this red, get a brand new box. And now I can drag this hue slider along and get different colors. So maybe I'm going to go for a bit of an orange. And I'm not really seeing any red at the moment. So I'm actually going to drag this little box down a little bit like so, just so I can get some red coming through like that. And you can see the brightest parts of the image are like red and the darker parts are orange. Actually, I feel like those two should be flipped around. I'm going to do like a little bit of this action. In fact, I might do an orange here. Let's add in another box. Let's make one yellow. So at this point, with your ramp, if you've got it connected in, start playing around with your colors. We're going to give you a little bit of time to do this. So play around with these color values and start to just create something new. So click at any point along here to add in something new, a new color if you might like. I really hope at the end of this, you guys share with us what you made. But I'm just going to create some random colors and make this red a little bit more varied as well. Let's make it a bit more of a, let me go like more of a pinker. I'm really bad with color. I shouldn't be doing this part. This should be mini, to be honest. But yeah, just making sure. One person in chat, the red cross sign stays on the operator. So if you hover over the operator, Rini, hover over the red cross, it should tell us what the error is. And if you can type that in chat, we should be able to help you. Yeah, but for anyone else, feel free, if you've got the ramp plugged into the lookup and the feedback end plugged in like so, start playing around. Because that is pretty much the end of it at that point. You can see when I press play, sort of have a unique looking one going on like so. And I'm going to leave this playing just so you guys can sort of like maybe be like, oh, mine's different or not working or something's wrong here. And Minnie and I can sing in. But yeah, I'm really, really keen to see what you guys make. So please tag us, post it on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever, if you made something cool. I don't think anyone's struggling in chat, unless there's a really bad delay.
Yeah.
There's probably a bad
There
delay.
is one question.
Yep.
There is one question saying, can I change the color with the audio filing?
Well, yeah. Basically, like in TouchDesigner, not to be a bit of a nerd, but anything is possible. So completely optional at this point, everyone, what I'm about to do, but I'm just going to give an example. So if we look back at our audio file, we have the audio analysis translating that into numbers for us, which is really useful because we can use these numbers now to change anything. So at any point on any operator, if you see like a number like 0, 1, something selectable, even these extend lefts and right, you can map that to a value that's controlled by something else. So you could have it be controlled by audio or controlled by your like hands if you do interactivity, anything. So yeah, we can have the audio actually change the color. And one way you might want to do that is with this low, like so, we can drag that from the low and the speed onto our phase. And our phase basically scrolls through the colors. So with our ramp selected, let's drag the low from our speed chop back at the very start onto our phase and then chop reference. Again, completely, this is a completely optional step just because someone asked. But you can now see it scrolling through those colors as it's mapped out, which is pretty intense. But maybe you like that. But yeah, I highly recommend you you go back through this network and you're like, oh, this displace value, the weight, what happens if I make that react to like if I do like a null from the chop? Again, don't need to follow me here, just giving some cool examples. You're like, oh, what happens if I do this and set this weight to be like that? It's reacting and it's a weird kind of way to the music. Just play around with it. This is a really good way to help you understand what each little thing on each operator is doing as well. But you can create something really cool really fast. And in fact, yeah, I don't really know what else I might show. I might just disable that one. I don't want people to get freaked out. Building on this, is there any way to see what mappings you've made? Yep. So if you get a little bit lost along the way with what mappings you've made, you can see these gray dotted lines is showing us that, hey, the speed is pointing to two different things like that. But even inside these operators, when we click on it and we go to our transform, we have a piece of code here. So you can see I actually click on this number like so. This is a piece of code being like, hey, operator speed 1, so that's this one here, reference the low value, so the low variable. So this is a little bit of programming. If it's not making sense to you, don't worry about it. But essentially this is referencing a value and we can know, oh, hey, it's our speed operator, like so, and it's the low variable. And in fact, because this is programming, we have this variable now and we can times that by another variable, or you can times it by a number. So I can literally type in a star for multiplication and then times 10. Bit of a subtle effect maybe happening. Maybe I can do that for something else, like the noise at the original start. What happens if I times that by 10? It pulses really quickly because it's moving 10 times faster, and I personally don't like that. In fact, at the very start of your audio file, you guys, I think, added the math operator. This math operator just increases the signal strength. So if it's moving a bit too fast, you can also just bring that multiplication down or just delete this math operator as well. Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that.
Yeah. We forgot to mention that last time in our tutorial, and
yeah,
felt really bad afterwards. So how do you actually get this video, everyone? Really important question. The best thing about TouchDesigner is that you can use these operators to build anything, but that's kind of also a bit of a bane because it makes some of the more simpler concepts, like how do you actually hear your audio, a little bit like it makes it an extra step where you have to have a whole operator to like just hear sound. And it's the same for recording. So if you guys actually want to record the visual, from the lookout at the very end, we can connect in a movie file out. So movie, just type in movie and you'll see it down the bottom, movie file out. And you can see here, we can plug in very end of our network into the input like so. And then on the movie file out, we have a bunch of options. You have video codec. Don't worry about that one if you don't know about it. You have what your file name might be. You can toggle on unique suffix so it doesn't overwrite other files. You have the FPS, which is set to the like your project file, but you can make this 30 FPS if you want by dividing by 2. Really important also, everyone, on the movie file out, you see it has an audio chop here. We need to drag our audio file onto this audio chop. So from the very start, drag and drop that. I might go over that again if people are confused, but once you've done that, you can just hit record on the movie file out, and you'll see it's recording with the screen operating. And then when you hit unrecord, it'll be saved in the same folder where your project file is now. But yeah, I hope that I hope that's useful. Just going to address some stuff in chat. What are people asking, Minnie?
Yeah, so we have a couple of questions. Oh, wait. So do you want to maybe should we go over like how to toggle the perform mode, and maybe also worth mentioning how to export video if they want to.
Yep. Well, so I just covered the export video with the movie file out.
Sorry.
What
Yeah.
do you mean
Okay, sorry.
there is another way to export video as well.
Yeah.
Run by doing like file and then export
Yes,
movie.
I meant that.
But that just does the same thing as the movie file out, essentially.
Yep.
But entirely up to you guys. You can specify. Oh, I don't think you can see the window that pops up, but if you click that, you should be able to see what comes up. And what was the other one? Perform mode.
Yes, I was just reading perform mode.
Very quickly, perform mode. If you want to like project this, the way I like to use perform mode, it's different for everyone, but I like to go to the comp operator tab window. So the comp one, so that's the gray black one at the start, and grab window. So that's not one of the purple operators. It's the first tab along. Grab the window. And you can see here, you can set it to be on your operator 0. So if you have 2 screens, monitor 1, and then you set the resolution and all those parameters and all that sort of stuff, and you can drag and drop your visual onto here. And then when you're ready, you can open it as perform mode. That's how I like to do perform mode if you want to project it somewhere else. But not super important for this tutorial, so I won't spend too much time on that. As for some of the people in chat, my output seems to be a static brushstroke inside a circle. All right, let's try troubleshoot this. The first thing I would ask is making sure you press play. So you can see we have the play, like just space to pause and unpause. Sometimes it's that simple, sometimes it's not. Potentially, you might have missed the level on the feedback loop. It's kind of hard, unfortunately, for us to know what's going on specifically with the project files. It's a bit of a limitation of this kind of workshop, which sucks. But if you check the description, links below, everyone, there's a version of this project file with a few extra little treats in it. So you can download that for free, and hopefully that'll help you to like understand what you might be missing or where you can take this next if you want to add in more texture or do any other cool things. But what else? What was Finn asking? Did you grab that one?
No, not yet. So yeah, I was gonna troubleshoot that as well. Trying.
I can see the pixelated squares from the initial second noise showing through the final comp a little bit. Is there a way to reduce their opacity? Yeah, I think I understand what you're asking. So if on this level, if I bring down the opacity, you can really see these squares are really, really intense. I think if you want the opacity down a little bit, but you don't want those big squares, I think maybe the best way to do that is to make this limit, the quantize, bring that up even more. Sorry, bring it down, down, not up, down. Just because essentially why we had these big squares in the first point is to have like parts of the brush stroke. So you can sort of see this line that's been created here. That's from our first brush. So we have that line. But then we have this really intense point along the lines, like so. And that's happening from when we combine in the limit. So if these intense points are really squarey, you can actually maybe skip the limit if you want. get more of a like fluidy kind of one that pops in and out. But to get a bit more of a like solid brush look, we added in that limit to have like points where it's dragging across, if that makes sense. Yeah, another thing you guys might want to do is you can see here it's all vaguely fitting to the shape of a circle, like we did. So I wonder what happens if we do a different shape. Or even cooler, what if we grab a text top like so and replace the circle like that? You can now see it's doing a really low resolution. I'm just going to increase that resolution. And then let's make the text much bigger. Again, no reason to copy the stuff, guys. Just getting cool examples of what you might want to do. But yeah, you can do some little text by changing the shape that we've combined in like so. Oh, yep, Finn seems like that's all sorted. Sick. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of just dragging it out at this point.
So I think this is like the perfect time for you to experiment and create your own. And if you have any other questions, please let us know. We'll give some time for the
Yeah.
experimentation and also the questions.
Yeah, we're hanging
Maybe
out
like
now,
5
guys.
to 10 minutes.
We're chilling. So please, if you're bored, feel free to head off. If you had a good time, please let us know. We have a feedback form down below. Would really appreciate some feedback for this. We definitely want to keep doing online tutorials. So yeah, I would love to know how you guys found it. But yeah, we're chilling for a little bit, making some cool things. I don't know. Is there anything? I wonder what I can do. Maybe I'm just gonna play around with it, see what I can create.
Yeah.
Just doing some random little values.
Maybe should we put we can put on the screen for the QR code of the feedback as well.
Oh,
Yeah, do you want me to do that or?
yeah. What happens if you share your screen at the same time, or is it not gonna
Yeah,
like?
let's try that. Let's try it. Okay.
Hi, I joined late. Will the recording be available after? Yes. That should automatically upload the recording of this, and you should be able to rewind the stream as well if you missed anything. I hope the pace was okay. I think we might have gone a little bit faster than last time, but it's really hard to gauge that pace online.
Mm. Yes.
Do we have a display
Do you
form
see my
for that?
screen?
I can see it. I wonder, let me check YouTube.
Yeah.
It just shows your QA feedback, but we can leave that up for a little bit. Yeah, I'm glad people found it useful. I'm really keen to see what you guys make. Make sure you record using the movie file out, record your visual, plug in your own music as well. Yeah, I want to see some cool,
Yes,
cool
please.
stuff.
Yes, please share your stories and tag us, please. We would love to see what you made of, what you end up with, and what colors you picked, and what kind of brush strokes that you made, and you know which audio file you're linking to, everything. Oh my God, so exciting! And once again, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Nick. We're the perfect team. Thank you, team. Thank you, everyone from overseas as well. Shout out to everyone.
Yeah, my cat is clawing to get his way back into my room. He is not happy I locked him out.
Oh my God, that's so funny because my cat is also doing the same things. That's why I had to get the door before.
How long do we go for? Oh, we've only gone for, we actually went a lot faster than last time.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully everything was not too fast. Yeah, hopefully we tried really best to cover everything that you need. Yeah, please let us know. Please give us the feedback. Constructive feedback is welcome as well.
Yes, please. Please,
Yes,
King.
please.
Last bit of promo, I suppose. We have a Discord linked below. I think that's going to be a bit of a hybrid of what's happening here in Melbourne, but also being like, I don't know, people are sharing their work already. So I guess that, which is pretty awesome. Our
Yeah.
Instagram is where we're just going to share other people's work, all the jam sessions meeting up. If you live in Melbourne, come meet us. Come to our jams. Come make some weird shit. I spent like 12 hours in a room
Yay! Let's do
playing
it.
around with
Let's do
lights
it.
yesterday. So I hope y'all are ready for some weird stuff like that. Yeah, check out Minnie's and I's Instagrams for our personal stuff. I will probably keep uploading videos to this channel. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything.
Awesome.
When am I coming to Sydney? I'm coming to Sydney in a few weeks, actually. And I might try organize a meetup or something. So keep an eye on my Instagram for that. no promises there, but we'll see. Someone just asked
Yes.
really quickly, how would I rotate the output of limit 1 to make the grid rotate? If you want to do that, bit of a niche question, but you can add in a transform between the limit and the comp. So if I right-click the line, click Insert, grab a transform. See, transform, we have this rotate option like so. You can also set the background to tile. Sorry if I'm going a little bit fast, just feel free to go over this on the recording. But then we have this rotate thing, and you can set this to slowly rotate over time by typing in ABS and then capital T time dot seconds. And it's a bit slow, so let's times it by 10. So it's rotating slowly over time. I hope that's a quick, brief explanation. Where are the Melbourne's workshops held? Right now, we're deliberating a few different spaces. It will definitely be a CBD or CBD adjacent location to make them as accessible as possible. We ran our first one pretty independently, but we're looking to. Oh, sorry. Wait, Monique, do you mind if I share my screen?
Sure. Let me stop it.
Sorry about that, Terrarium. Sorry, briefly about the workshops. We may collaborate with some people in the future as well for some better locations with resources, but as for now, keep an eye on our Instagram. And as for the rotation question, sorry, coming back to that, we have our transform operator here between our limit and our comp. So you can just insert that and grab transform. And then I've just set the rotate here. I've typed in this piece of code. You can just pause the screen and type that in as well if you want. Make sure you get the capital T. And then I also set the tile to just mirror, so that way it has the background repeating. But yeah, I hope that's everything. Last questions before we sign off?
Or any comments? Any comments?
Anything at all?
Yes, before we go.
It's so weird. It's so weird going from like such a serious, monotone speaking voice to them being like, "Oh, hello, we're just people, we're chilling."
I
I go do my
know.
laundry after this and
I'm
boring
probably gonna
things.
eat something
Yeah.
after this.
Can we do a 19? Yeah. So for the resolution, if you want to do something that's not square, today I kept it simple by just doing a single resolution value. But on this constant, if I click the plus, I can do a second resolution. So I could set 2 different resolutions, right? And I could make this second one here like res y, and then make it, so we can make this first one like 1280 by 720. Oh, sorry. So we have the res y and the res x. And now we need to go back to our resolutions on each of the operators. And you can see here we have the width and the height. That's why we have the 2 different boxes. So we need to set them separately. It's a little bit of just an extra step, which is why we didn't do it in the tutorial. But if I drag the 720 onto the second one, so the width, and then do the same with all the operators now, and do it with the circle. And then I think there's one more at the very end. You can see we've changed our resolution like so. And if I made this like 2000, well, that's 200. But you can see here, I just updating the resolution in live. The free version is limited to 720p, one of the sad limitations. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. Next workshop, not sure. We will figure that one out.
Yeah, so we have the feedback form for you, so that we can find out what kind of topics that you're interested in and what kind of other workshops that you want to see from us. And we're at the moment we're planning on the next one, but it's yeah, it's gonna happen soon, and we'll post everything on our Instagram, so please keep an eye on them. Yeah, so please let us know what kind of workshops that you want to see next from us.
Yeah, and also let us know how you found the live stream format. I'm not much of a live stream YouTube kind of guy, but if you guys liked it, I'm definitely open to doing some more jam sessions, something a bit more casual potentially.
Yes,
But
that
yeah,
as well. So yeah,
I think that's pretty much it. All right.
I think that's it. Yeah.
When is the next workshop? If you missed this one, the recording is going to be available straight after on this channel, and you can also drag it back. As for the next one, we're not too sure. We're gonna do lots of local ones, and then any of the like broad beginner topics that we cover locally that are pretty popular, we're also going to make an online version of that available, probably through the same format. Might maybe experiment with like a Zoom call. I don't know. We have a feedback form for exactly that, guys. So yeah, check that description.
Yes. Yes, please.
Cool. We're just ending up
Awesome.
at this point.
Wow. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you once again for everyone who joined us today. Hope this was helpful. And yeah, this was really fun and amazing to meet everyone. Once again, I think we're done here. But feel free to DM us or reach out to us anytime, anytime. Yeah, via our Instagram, Discord. Yes, we did started our Discord as well. So please join us in there as well. People are sharing inspiration, and a lot is going on already, which is awesome. And yes, I think that's all. Yeah, Nick?
Yeah, beautiful. Easy. All right. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah. See y'all.
See you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Have a great weekend. Have a great rest of the weekend, guys. Bye.
All right. I stopped it.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Oh my God.